to order August 23rd, 2021 Austintown Township meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Frano?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here. Good afternoon. We've got a packed house. I'm going to make this quick, hopefully. A little quick introduction. We have Jim Henshaw, our Senior Center Director, Todd Schaefer, our Park Supervisor, Chief Andy Frost, Fire Chief Bob Cavalier, our Police Chief, Darren Cavelli, our Zoning Inspector, Mike Dockery, our Road Superintendent, Administrator. On the far over there, we got Trustee Jim Davis, Trustee Ken Carano, Laura Wolf, our Fiscal Officer, and I am Trustee Steve Kennedy. So we're going to jump a little bit on the roster here. We're going to go with Chief Frost in your oath, given to Zachary, Pat Cantlett. That Cantlett, okay. I knew I was going to mess that up. We're moving up to full-time firefighter, Nicholas Reed, to be promoted to lieutenant, and Thomas Metzinger on being promoted to captain.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Zachary Pacalis,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of full-time firefighter paramedic
of full-time firefighter paramedic
of the Austintown Township Fire Department.
of the Austintown Township Fire Department.
I further resolve
I further resolve
that I will serve the residents of Austintown
that I will serve the residents of Austintown
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
and will continue to do so
and will continue to do so
during my continuance as a firefighter
during my continuance as a firefighter
with the Austintown Fire Department.
with the Austintown Fire Department.
Okay, if we do three.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Nicholas Reed,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of Lieutenant of the Austintown Fire Department.
of Lieutenant of the Austintown Fire Department.
I further resolve
I further resolve
that I will serve the residents of Austintown
I will serve the residents of Austintown
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
and will continue to do so
and will continue to do so
during my continuance
during my
with
continuance
the Austintown Fire
with
Department.
the Austintown Fire Department.
Hey, Nick, go ahead.
I state your name.
I, Thomas Metzinger,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of Captain of the Austintown Fire Department
of Captain of the Austintown Fire Department.
I further resolve
I further resolve
that I will serve the residents of Austintown
that I will serve the residents of Austintown
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
and will continue to do so
and will continue to do so
during my continuance
during my continuance
with the Austintown Fire
with
Department.
the Austintown Fire Department.
So I just want to talk a little bit about all these guys. It's an incredible group. We're so happy to have Zach come on. He's a young guy. He's done everything he needed to do. He's done a great job for us, became paramedic, went through all the classes, did everything. So he'll be a great asset to us. We're extremely lucky to have him. Tom Metzinger is moving up to captain. He's done an incredible job for us at lieutenant. And he's just, again, one of the young bright stars of our department. So it's an honor to have him move up. And Nick Reed is a firefighter moving up to lieutenant. And Nick, hands down, is one of the best firefighters we have. So we're very excited about him coming up. His family has been in firefighting, and he's a great asset to us. And we're just extremely proud that he's moving up as well. So we're going to ask Zach to sit down. Oh, actually, before you go, would you let us know your family that are here?
Yes. So in the blue dress there, that's my wife Sarah. That is my sister Katie and her husband Jesse. Then I got my brother Jacob, my father William, my mother Wendy, and my brother Josh.
Very good. Welcome. Thank you. So we have a tradition. We have a tradition in the fire service called badging. When you get elevated, promoted to an officer's position, you're given your badge, and it's placed on, usually by a family member or somebody that has done a lot for you in your life. So Tom's mom is badging him, and she'll be putting on his captain's badge. It was a lot harder than that.
You got it.
I think I should. It's good.
Give him a-
Congratulations.
Tell us who's here.
I have my lovely wife Sherry, who just became an EMT. My son Tommy. My dad Tom, my mom Vanetta, my mother-in-law Kathy, my brother Christopher, the fellows over here from the department. So
Very good, thank you.
These are my children. This is Caden and Ariana.
So just as always, we certainly appreciate you guys standing over here. They've done a lot, especially for the younger guys. And again, we wish everybody could have been here, but we're not allowed to do that this time just because of conditions. But everybody wanted to be here. But we sure do appreciate these guys being here. The other crew got called out as well. But again, these guys are the guys that do all the training and everything. So it's really important to have them here as well.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. Back. I do need to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 9, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Fredo?
Yes.
Mr. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Diggs?
Yes.
All right. All right, now we have great presentation from our Macomb County engineer, Pat Genetti, on the 1/4% sales tax coming in November, right?
Yes.
So, floor is yours.
Thank you, trustees, and thank you everybody for coming out and listening to me talk. I'll make this as quick as I can. That way, if you have any questions afterwards, I can answer it. I do have a one-page handout. It has some information. If anybody would like one, I'll set them up here or I'll pass them out before I get started. Yeah, you're good. I got more. Okay, so those of you that may have heard or may not have heard, the Mahoney County Township Association and myself have been talking for several years at what we can do to improve the quality of our roads. A lot of people are unfamiliar with how the county engineer's office is funded. Obviously, the trustees are pretty well versed, not only from listening to me, but hearing it, every day. So the last couple of years, we've been trying to put our heads together, coming up with a plan to think outside of the box and do something different to get our roads improved, improve our safety, improve our infrastructure. So we've come up with a 1/4% sales tax. So when that idea was brought to my attention, the first thing I said is this can't only be about the county. So we need to include all the townships, and we also have infrastructure within the cities and villages as well that a lot of people aren't aware of. So the first thought was that we take the money and split it up between the county and the townships. This way, everybody is getting infrastructure improved. So when you see a paved road, a lot of people don't think of the safety aspect. You got the police department, the fire department in here that can attest to timing of an emergency call. Nobody thinks about that when you're driving over a smooth road, but when you're going over a road that hasn't been repaired in a long time, that can seriously impact their response time and the safety of these professionals as well. So that's part of the reason we're looking at this as well, is trying to improve the safety of our county. So I'm going to go through this presentation. I'll go through it, like I said, as quickly as I can, just so I don't keep you here and bore you. But hopefully this gives you some idea of how my office is funded and some of the struggles that both myself and the townships are faced with every day. So stagnant revenues and rising costs, where do we go from here? A lot of people don't know how the county engineer's office is funded. Every county engineer in the state of Ohio is funded from gas tax and license plates. We receive no sales tax, no property tax, no income tax. Probably the most common question I get when somebody calls me about a road is, why isn't my road paved? I pay all this property tax. A lot of people don't know that we receive none of that money. So one of the things I did was I contacted the county treasurer and got tax duplicates for a couple different areas. One is a small lot in the city of Struthers. One is a rather large parcel in Canfield Township. Now this picture is a little hard to see, and I apologize for the screen being a little crooked, but I'm not the IT department, so I got it working at least. But as you can see, regardless of where you're at, no money goes to the county engineer's office. In fact, the bulk of the money goes to the schools. Then it's broken up from there to other agencies. So we receive no funding from property tax. So every year your property tax goes up, or every so many years, we get none of that. We are solely sourced from gas tax and license plates. Now, in late 19, the governor increased the gas tax by 10 cents. Then COVID hit. We haven't seen a true projection of what that 10-cent increase is going to generate. The gas tax is divided evenly amongst all 88 counties. A lot of people don't know that. 11% of the total state gas tax is divided 88 ways. Every county engineer gets the same amount of money. And I always compare Mahoney County to our sister county to the South Columbiana County. We're the 5th largest county in the state of Ohio with roads. We have just under 500 miles. Columbiana County has 169. So we have 3 times as many roads. 2/3 of their roads are tar and chip. 100% of our roads are asphalt. So you have an increased cost. Franklin County, which is Columbus, has 254 county miles. We have 500. We're twice the size. They have a $54 million budget. We have an $11 million budget. A little bit offset. So those are some of the pictures of how this office runs that a lot of people aren't aware of. So the license plates is what makes the difference between the big counties and the little counties. So if Franklin County has over 2 million people, obviously their license plate revenue is a lot higher than ours. The county permissive fees in Mahoney County were enacted in 1988, 1991. Our license plate fees have not been increased and cannot be increased unless the Ohio Revised Code changes. Now, they did pass House Bill 26 a few years ago in 17, which essentially placed the onus on the county commissioners to impose an additional $5 on the county plate fee. Commissioners didn't want to do that without the people having a voice. It wasn't a ballot issue. It was a strict imposed $5. It would generate about $1.5 million, but I can respect their decision for wanting to give the people a chance to voice how they felt. This next map gives you kind of an overall picture of the United States on gas tax, where we sit. So you see Ohio, we're about in the middle, 56.91, and that's a combined state and federal gas tax per gallon. Pennsylvania to the east is the highest gas tax in the nation at 77.10. Actually, I take that back. California surpassed them recently at 80, but Pennsylvania was the highest up until I think 2 years ago in 19 when California raised theirs. But again, PA is 21 cents higher than Ohio. So this is how the national picture looks on gas tax. And here gives you kind of an idea of how the license plate fees are broken down. So out of your standard $20 license plate fee prior to the permissive fees, you can see how the plate fees are broken down depending on if you're registered in a city or if you're in a township. So one of the challenges we run into are people that have an address of, let's say, Lowville. They may live in Poland Township or Coatesville Township. The village of Lowville may be getting those fees that we should be getting. So every year there's work with the BMV to try to analyze and determine if anybody is being charged, or I should say if any municipality is receiving funds they shouldn't be. So this gives you just an idea of how the distribution is. And you can see it's a very complex formula, different percentages here and there. So it's one of those things you really don't want to sit down and study too much and get a headache. A lot of people say, why don't we raise the gas tax? Why don't we raise the plate fee? So this slide here shows you there's really no silver bullet and one size fits all. So the three largest counties primarily benefit from the license plate fees because the more people there, the more plate revenue they gain. The three smallest counties, 72% of their budget is made up from the gas tax because, again, we get the same amount of money divided equally amongst 88 counties. So this kind of gives you an idea that if you raise one, it may not be helping everybody. If you raise the gas tax, the smaller counties are going to benefit. If you raise the plate fees, the bigger counties are going to benefit. We're kind of in the middle. You know, we're not the largest, we're not the smallest. So raising one or the other is going to help, but it's not going to solve all the problems. This picture here is just an index from the National Highway Construction Cost Index that shows over the last 16 years there's been an increase of 96% in construction materials. So essentially, material prices have doubled. So with our budgets being stagnant, one thing I neglected to mention, the 1999 budget of the county engineer's office was $10.6 million. 2019 budget was $10.8 million. So we've relatively stayed the same, $200,000 difference, and it fluctuates slightly every year depending on gas tax projections and actual collections. So our budget has remained relatively stagnant, but as you can see, just the cost of materials alone have doubled, makes it more challenging for us to do what we need to do. And I always tell people, you know, we can't be everywhere. As much as I would like to be, if I could have paved your road, I'd have done it twice just to make sure that we don't have issues, that we don't have complaints, that the fire department can get to a call fast enough, that an EMT can, that a policeman can. We don't purposely leave people out. I certainly don't like getting criticized in public meetings. I'm doing the best I can with what I've been given. So this is why we're here today, to try to propose an alternative solution and also help not only the townships, but the people in the cities and villages to benefit from this as well. So this slide here shows the rising cost of materials. Asphalt concrete has to occur every 7 to 10 years in order for us to maintain the usable condition of our roads. That's the useful life of asphalt. 483 miles divided by 7 years, we would need to pave 69 miles per year. So the costs there, $109,556. That's the average cost of a typical 20-foot wide county road. No milling, that's a simple 2-inch overlay. 69 miles at 109,000 puts us at $7.6 million. Again, my budget's 11 million. So if we focus 7.5 million right there just in asphalt, that's 75% of our budget. So if we stretch that to 15 years, 483, by that, that's 32 miles a year. Guess I need to fix that zoom somehow. Well, the number, because my IT skills are lacking, 32 miles at 110,000 is $3.5 million per year dedicated solely to paving roads. The next slide shows the assumed bridge lifespan, 70 years. We have 288 bridges in Mahoning County. We divided that by 70 years. We need to do just over 4 bridges per year. The average cost of a typical bridge, $136,000. Now that's not counting, Market Street. Market Street Bridge is a county bridge. It's the 9th largest bridge in the state of Ohio. That bridge is probably north of, $10 million if that needed to be replaced. South Avenue Bridge, Mahoning Avenue, Spring Commons, those are all county bridges. They're all in the city of Youngstown. Those are 4 of our largest bridges. Obviously, those aren't included or assumed for. We're talking the typical, 24-foot, 30-foot wide bridge that spans maybe 30 foot over a small creek in the more rural parts of the county. We would have to spend about $560,000 a year just in bridges. So put those two together with a 15-year cycle on asphalt, doing 4 bridges a year, you're looking at $4 million. You guys know how to work this projector. I need to get this screen.
How do you want it up higher?
Nah, it's not picking up everything.
You want me to raise it up a little bit more?
I'm not sure. There we go. We can cut the logo off. I don't need to see that. So that $4 million does not include matching grant money for major construction projects. Mahoning Avenue, for example, that was a major federal project. 80% federal, 20% local. The project cost came out to be about $3 million. So 20% of that's $600,000. We have South Avenue coming up next year, roughly $5 million on the estimate. 20%, that's $1 million right out of our budget that covers the local share of the project. A lot of people always ask us, the federal government's going to put this big infrastructure program together. What do you think? Well, obviously we're all for it. Anytime there's more money available, we're gonna go after it aggressively. The one thing we need to realize though, if our budget's not increasing, where do we come up with the local match? Every grant that we go after has a local match component, whether it's a state grant or a federal grant. So the more money that's in the pot, that's great. However, that puts a bigger onus on myself, on the townships, to come up with these local shares to cover that cost. If we get the grant but don't have the local money, the money goes back. The federal government doesn't give us a check and say, here, do what you want. I wish they did, that'd be great, but they don't. The grants are specific to specific types of projects, and there's always a local match component. One of our bigger items is salt, snow and ice. I'm not sure if I have that on there. I'm sure I do. Yeah, snow and ice on the left side. That's one of our major functions of this department. Every year it's an unknown. We bid on the salt, go through the state contract. You never know what the price is till after you commit to what you're going to buy. When we buy salt, we have to commit to paying for 90% of it. So if the price comes in really high like it did a few years back, if you remember in 15, the price went up 532%. That almost crippled our department because you can't budget for a 500% increase. So over the years, the price has been coming down and down. It's still not to where it used to be, but it's becoming more manageable. But snow and ice is a major unknown for us. You don't know what the weather's going to do. We also have striping, signage, traffic signals, storm sewer work. Those of you in Austintown probably noticed some cones on Raccoon Road just past Kirk. We're starting to see a separation and a failure. A few years ago, we had the same thing happen just north of that in front of the church. We relined a major storm sewer in there, ensuring basically it was a non-destructive form of repair, but it's very expensive. Those are unknowns that you don't expect. Storm sewer collapsing, we have old infrastructure. The infrastructure was built years and years ago. We've already had 3 water breaks on Mahoning Avenue since finishing mainline paving. We got a new one happening right now in front of the Pink Elephant. Youngstown Water hasn't gotten back to us yet on their findings, but there's a couple of pools of water there, and we're starting to notice a depression. So with old infrastructure, you're going to have those unforeseens. So these are some of the things that we have to manage within our budget, as well as trying to get all these roads done. Sorry, I went backwards. Okay, so to deal with stagnant declining revenues, rising costs, some counties, such as Delaware and Holmes County, have dedicated sales tax to fund their county roads and bridges. Mahoning County currently does not. We have no road levies, no sales tax, and no House Bill 26. That was the $5 fee that I mentioned earlier that would have to be imposed by the county commissioners. So a 1/4% sales tax for a 5-year period is going to be placed on a November ballot. Generates approximately $9 million, and 100% of that is dedicated to roadway safety and infrastructure. These are the items that both myself and the entire Mahoning County Township Association, all 14 townships, agreed that if this passes, these are what should be included in the allowable uses of this money. So under the safety end, we have sidewalks, ADA ramps, etc. Roadway is going to be the primary commitment of the county engineer's office. Townships are a little bit of a different dynamic, going from a Boardman and Austintown to a Goshen and a Smith Township. You're talking major urban to major rural. We have some bridge work included in there. We also have the ability to use some of this money for local match and application fees on grants. Any monies generated from this sales tax, if passed, cannot be used for salaries, equipment, or buildings. We have partnered with the county auditor's office. We spoke to Mr. Meacham prior to any discussions to find out how this money would be tracked. The auditor would set up a separate fund and track it individually to ensure transparency and that the money's going in the right place. A lot of people ask, are you going to play a shell game? If you get this money, are you going to put that into paving and take the money we put into paving and use it for something else? No, we're not, because we need to get caught up. We need to improve our roads, and we can't sit back and wait for the state and federal government to bail us out, because they're not. The federal government, again, passing a major infrastructure plan, but they're not doing anything for us on our budget to increase the ability to pay these local matches. So that's some of the frustrations we have. So we took it upon ourselves to try to sit with the townships and get the input from the residents. So that's why it's going on the ballot. This isn't an attack on anybody. There's no need for hot tempers. If you're for it, you vote yes. We're going to show you what we can do with it. If you're against it, we certainly understand that. You vote no, we still have a statutory obligation. We're going to continue to do our jobs the best we can. Okay, this picture here shows what's being paved through the countywide paving program this year, 2021. This is known as OPWC, the Public Works Commission grant, that we go after every year competitively. Myself, county engineer, competes with Austintown and Boardman, every township, every city, every village in this county, as well as Trumbull County. We're put into a district, Mahoning and Trumbull and all the communities. We compete for the same pot of money, approximately $10 million in that pot to be distributed through 2 counties, 24 townships in Trumbull, 14 townships in Mahoning, 4 cities, 7 villages here, similar in Trumbull. If you think about that, that's a lot of hands in the pot for only $10 million. It doesn't go very far. So this is what a typical countywide paving program looks like. Pretty sparse, doesn't cover anywhere near what we would like it to cover. This is the county program next year. Again, you see it's even more sparse in the rural parts. One thing people don't realize, these grants are competitive. We're competing against each other for these. There are a lot of factors that come into play, like traffic counts, useful life, cost obviously is a major one. So a lot of times people will call and say, why didn't you pick my road? It's not because we didn't want to. It all comes down to getting the highest score we can in order to ensure that we're going to have a paving program every year. And again, we compete against our own. And it seems unfair, but That's how this program is set up. So every year, we always need to have a couple roads, either in Austintown or in Boardman, to pair up with the Coatesvilles and Green Townships that have virtually no traffic. Anybody ever go into the south and western parts of the counties, you notice the rural roads are beat up. A lot of complaints down there that, they're the forgotten areas, especially Smith Township. They call themselves a forgotten area because it's so difficult for us to get funding. I can assure you they're certainly not forgotten, but these are real challenges that we have. So another program that we were able to come into funding from, this is known as the Cstp Funding. It's a federal program that's administered by the County Engineers Association. It's for federal aid routes only, and we're able to focus it in the rural parts of the county because there's no ADT attachment to it. However, this is an 80% grant, 20% local match. So this is a $2.5 million grant. We had to come up with $500,000 out of our own budget, but we're getting an additional 20 miles done as a result of that. This slide shows you the current Mahoning Avenue project that's going on, and there's 2 phases of South Avenue and Boardman that are going on. Each of these roads are major urban thoroughfares. Obviously, South Avenue has a little bit more traffic than Mahoning Avenue, but not much more. They're very challenging, very expensive. We had to rely on federal grants in order to get these projects done. My budget certainly couldn't absorb a 5-lane, 5-mile paving project like Mahoning Avenue without taking a lot of other roads off the table. So this is actually 3 projects, even though it looks like 2. So South Avenue will be starting next year, the first phase. Then the following phase will be the year after. The next few slides that I'm going to show you, these are the projections that we would do in year 1 if this sales tax passes. Now this is county roads only. So this is the first year if this passes, and this is assuming $4 million comes to the county, $4 million goes to the 14 townships, and the additional $1 million gets put into the cities and villages where we own infrastructure, where we have bridges. So this way, the entire county would benefit from this if it passes. So again, this is year 1 of the sales tax, year 2 of the sales tax, and our goal, if you look at year 1, we're in every single township. That's the goal every year, to be in every township. Year 2, year 3, now notice in year 3, you don't see anything in Green Township. That's because come year 3, we've already hit every county road in Green Township, and we're able to start focusing our efforts outside of that. Year 4, we're beginning to pave roads that we did in my first year, 2013 and 2014, which is a good sign we're starting to shrink that gap. There's roads in this county that haven't been paved in 30 years. That's not because we don't want to do them or because we forgot about them. We struggle with funding. And I always tell people, if it were that simple, I would have done it, believe me. I do not like getting angry people calling me. I don't like when people come to public meetings and they're upset that we didn't do their road. Again, if it were up to me, I'd have paved the road twice. Then here's year 5 of the county sales tax, if it passes. So here, you see a bunch of colors. This is this year up to year 5 of the sales tax. County roads only. This is what we can do in a period of 5 years with that sales tax money, counting again this year and next year's paving programs as well. Obviously, it's on the ballot this year. If it were to pass, collections would begin in January. We won't start paving until 2023. Sorry, didn't think about what year we're in. Okay, the next few slides, I'm going to go through Austintown. Then I'll scroll through the rest of the township pretty quickly so I don't bore you looking at the other 13 townships. Austintown gave me a comprehensive plan. This is what would be done in all 5 years. So there are a lot of township roads. It's hard to see again because Austintown's a big township. You have a lot of roads, and you'll notice that when we get to Boardman as well.
45, is it 45 miles?
I think it's 46.
46.
Just going off memory.
That number's good.
When we get into the big urban townships like this, it's going to take some time to develop a plan of what comes first, what comes second. We'll have an entire year to develop that plan a little more thoroughly. You'll notice that in some of the rural townships as well. They have similar difficulty because trying to figure out what do you do first versus what do you do next. So Austintown gave us all of the roads that would fit within a 5-year budget of the money that was talked about being divided up amongst the 14 townships. And this is what the township could do with that money. Okay, I'm gonna go pretty quickly going through the other 13 till I get to the last couple slides. Again, there's Boardman. They're pretty much got everything highlighted. We would just have to sit with Boardman and develop a, real comprehensive plan on what comes first. Some of the townships gave us lists rather than maps, which is also fine.
So this isn't including any cities or villages?
The cities and villages, we have no roads in there. We have bridges and some bigger box culverts. So that infrastructure is what's going to be covered in the cities. Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot pave a road within a city, but the bridges that fall under me, we can certainly replace or repair if needed. So again, this goes back to, this is the 5-year plan of the county taking $4 million a year for 5 years. This is what the townships, $4 million in 5 years now. Remember, Green Township, Poland Township, and Coatesville gave us lists, they didn't give us maps, so that's why you see no green in there. That doesn't mean they're being ignored or forgotten. That just means their list needs to be developed a little more on what's year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is a comprehensive plan of what we can do if this passes. Again, if it doesn't, we stick to our statutory obligation, continue to do the best we can. I continue to fight. I'm very aggressive. I'm very passionate. Anybody that's ever seen me in a meeting, I take this very seriously. I really do. I live this every single day. I don't go home at night, put my phone away and say, I'm done. My phone rings 24/7, 7 days a week, and I answer it. I call people back. I do everything I can to ensure them that we're not forgetting or we're not ignoring. That is the end of my slide. I apologize for going fast, but again, I didn't want to keep you here for an hour listening to me ramble about roads, but I wanted to give time if there's any questions, that way I can answer if there's anything specific.
May we say something?
Absolutely.
Okay, the Township Association is made up of all the townships in Mahoning County. And we met any number of times to go over the situation. Obviously, places like Austintown have that 46 miles. Some only have 2 or 3 miles. But everywhere we go, we talk about the situation. And the big question was, tell the people what we have to do and ask them whether they want it or not. Once again, this is not property tax, it's sales tax. The one good thing about sales tax is 40% of the taxes that are received in the county are not by county people. It comes from outside the county. But the fact of the matter is, in 5 years, all of this will be done. When I started as a trustee, a mile of road cost roughly around $19,000 to pay. Now it costs $109,000 to pay. The fact is that everyone uses the county roads. This is part of the reason why the people in the townships that didn't have a lot of roads were okay with the situation. And we suggest that we would like to have the vote in that favor.
Well, that's also why we added the other components and not just focus solely on paving, because some of the other townships have some serious safety issues. So we wanted to make sure there was a safety element, because after all, paving roads isn't just about having a smooth drive, it's about safety. It's about letting our first responders get to the emergency as quickly and as safely as possible so they can tend to whichever one of us needs them.
And the biggest thing that we said, the county is big. This gentleman had to pay off bills that he took when he got here because they have to keep buying equipment and so on, and they do it for 20 years.
Actually, Ken, we're still paying debt that I inherited from equipment that was purchased that we no longer own because it's exceeded its useful life. And that was a result of advice given from previous administrations. The engineer just followed. I'm not a financial advisor, So we listen to our accountants, auditors, people that way. But yeah, we still have debt that we'll be paying another 10 years on.
And the biggest argument in the world is, we get the same amount as all the small counties, and it hasn't gotten more in the last 20 years. We have the same budget in the county that was here 20 years ago. So, I mean, that's the purpose. If we really want the roads, and then everyone, our townships more than anything else, talk about roads. And to have them do something like that, but to have it paid, not from your property taxes, but for sales taxes, and 40% coming from outside the area, that was part of the reason why we suggested that we put it on the ballot.
Any questions? Yes,
How many miles did you say the county has in Mahoney County?
483, we're just under 500.
So in that 5-year projection, how many miles do you think you'll be able to accomplish with this money? Do you have a projection on it?
Right now on that map, and that's not taking any grants into consideration, we're looking at about 200 miles.
And that's just paving, and then you have some other money earmarked for bridges?
We already have money earmarked for bridges. We have some money earmarked for paving already on grants that we applied for. A lot of the federal grants are 5-year windows. Once you get the grant awarded, you don't see that money for 5 years. So it's already committed and earmarked for it. It just hasn't come to life yet. So obviously, a lot of those roads in year 1 and 2, some of them are higher volume roads. We would be crazy not to go after a grant to try to stretch that money even farther. So the initial projection being that we would have a year to plan, some of those you can't even factor in the grant yet because the application process isn't even ripe and ready to apply for. But yes, our goal is to attack every grant like we always do. We just have more strength now because we have the ability with the local match, and we can probably apply for larger grants or go after additional grants and turn that 4 million hopefully into 5 or 6 or 8, depending on what we can parlay that with.
You may be able to do more.
Absolutely.
So that might be half of all township roads in 5 years. I have to tell you, I'm thoroughly impressed with the work on Mahoney Avenue, the quality of work, the maintenance of traffic, and just the whole deal.
Thank you. I know it's an inconvenience when you go through a construction zone and get stuck where a lane's closed or blocked, but it's a temporary inconvenience. And if you remember the condition of the road 2 months ago before they paved it, and that company came in and they paved mainline in literally 3 weeks. And, you know, with some minor weather delays, they really knocked it out. Like I said, we got a few water breaks that we need to tend to, one in front of Walmart. There was one over at the corner of Raccoon and Mahoney. And now we got this new one surfacing right across from the Pink Elephant. Same contractor's gonna do the repairs, even though it's Youngstown City water, it's not gonna cost us. But they're gonna mill out portions of the road, so it's not just a box or a guy would call it a checkerboard. So they'll mill out the entire lane or multiple lanes, depending on how much damage was done, and repave it with the same material, because this material also has fibers in it. Asphalt doesn't have a lot of tensile strength, so you hear people using additives like rubber or ground up tires or fiberglass. So we added fibers in here to add some tensile strength to that asphalt to extend the life of the road as much as we can. Again, Mahoney Avenue is a busy road. Sections in between Walmart and Route 11 get upwards of 30,000 cars a day. That's pretty heavily traveled. Once you get further out, you don't get as much, but you see a lot of truck traffic. So it's important for us to do the best we can to extend the life, because by the time that road's up, you know, useful life, hopefully we already have federal money earmarked to pave it again, which we'll be going after probably in a few short years.
Sir, just to be clear too, with what Pat was saying, to answer your question a little further, that 200 miles that he's talking about paving within the 5 years, Pat, this is also taking into consideration that what Pat has already paved since he's taken office from 2013, with that life expectancy of 7 to 10 years. So that also doesn't include in that 5 years that Mahoney Avenue has just been paved.
Yeah.
So you've got roads like that, roads in Boardman Township where they just paved, you know.
Our goal is to have every road touched, and like I said, in year 3, and 4, you're starting to see roads that we did in the first 2 years that I was in office in 13 and 14, so we're starting to reduce that cycle. So that's the goal, is to try to get to a 7 to 10 year lifespan of the roads. So this is our attempt, again, at trying to take care of ourselves and not sit back and wait for Big Brother to bail us out, because I don't think they're going to just hand us money. Any other questions?
Pat, if I may add one other thing that feels important, is Austintown, as you heard Pat talking about these different grants, Austintown's very competitive as well as in applying for those grants. Some of the communities now that apply for those grants will not be applying for those grants because they've got this money and they're able to do some paving, which will allow opportunities where maybe Austintown can receive more money in grant funding, because we're now, on top of the money we're receiving from this tax, we're applying for additional grants, and hopefully we can receive more funding that way. So for our perspective as the 3 trustees is that we're going to be actively applying for more grant funding, because we're anticipating more being out there, because these smaller communities will not be applying for it, because like Pat said, in these smaller communities, there's only so much they can do.
Oftentimes too, the smaller communities, the smaller townships, the rural townships, don't even apply because they know they're not going to be competitive, because they don't meet the traffic count or the local match part. Those are all scoring criteria in our grants. So the smaller the community, obviously the less money they have, it makes it more challenging for them to get money when you have giants like Mahoney County and Trumbull County, Warren and Youngstown. Then you add the big urban townships, Boardman, Austintown, Howland in there. We take the lion's share of the money because we're the biggest entities, and we should, but we have to be cognizant and, play nice in the sandbox, like they say, and not try to take all the money, then basically leave everybody hanging with nothing to do any of their necessary work. So we have good working relationships with the 2 counties, with all the communities, and there's a good understanding of the need. And for the most part, it's relatively proportional, but it's still competitive, and we still have to put in good projects, because at the end of the day, if you put in a bad project and it doesn't score, it shouldn't be funded. We have to come up with good projects. So again, my goal, regardless of traffic count, regardless of location, if the road needs paved, we need to get it paved, and I need to do everything I can to get it paved. The unfortunate reality is funding always rears its head. It's always about money. And again, if there was enough money, believe me, my job would be really easy if all the roads were paved.
Could we bring up one last thing? Everyone reads in the newspaper all this money that supposedly from the COVID thing is coming here, there. We haven't seen it yet, and so on. But the one thing you have to understand, even from all the counties, the cities that's getting all this money, the one thing you can't do with it is pave roads.
They listed infrastructure and listed water, sewer, and broadband. No roadway, no bridges. So again, that makes it challenging. Mahoney County got $42 million. Youngstown City got $88 million, I think.
Yeah, 80.
None of that can go towards roads. So that's a bit disheartening, but it is what it is. That's the rules, so we got to live by it. They also came out with House Bill 168 that priority list is due this Friday, water and sewer projects. So any of the water providers in the county, any of the sewer owners, wastewater, we can submit projects to the state in hopes that we can get funding, additional funding to try to do some of these projects. Again, no roads. So it seems like roads are always put on the back burner, whether it's county roads, state roads, township roads, or city roads. So again, we're taking it upon ourselves to go to the voters and see what they think. If you're for it, we'll certainly do what we said and some. If you're not, we certainly understand that, and we'll continue to do our job the best we can. So again, I thank you for listening to me, and I hope I didn't put anybody to sleep and keep you here longer than you wanted to be, but thank you.
Thank you for all you do for Austintown. Go back to our normal procedure. Mike, Administrator.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to any report. We haven't started, unfortunately, our paving yet. I'm hoping I talked to them today. I hope we start in 2 weeks. I just wanted to add something as far as the township is concerned as far as what Pat said. And that is, as far as, Township has 117 miles of roads, okay? Last 25 years, I mean, if we went on a 10-year average, we'd have to do 12 miles of road.
You're right, Mike, there's 46 county miles in the township.
Right. So, we've probably averaged over the last 25 years somewhere between 4 and 5 miles. So, our average, we're way over 20-year average on roads. And I just wanted to point that out to the people here that we have the same problem. And I think every subdivision in the county, probably in the country, has the same problem. Nobody has the money they need to do their infrastructure. And so that's why we end up, people are always asking me, why don't you do the whole road when we do a road? Well, because we don't have that amount of money and we're trying to do the worst sections that are out there. And so that's why you see our roads out there that we have patchwork. We can't afford sometimes to do the whole road. So I just wanted to go along with what Pat's saying, just point out, I don't know, we're probably 23, 24-year average on our roads, which is ridiculous for a road like Idaho, Westchester, Nottingham.
Yeah, one time.
Those busy roads, yes.
Chief, Cavalier?
The only thing I want to add is probably going to the next meeting, school will already be started. I just want to advise everybody, once school starts, the school bus, the kids load and unload and walk into school. And the first week or two, we'll have more patrol down in the area of the schools and that. And our biggest concern is Raccoon Road. The kids that get dropped off or at the 9/11 park and they have to cross that road. You usually have an officer there, somebody from the school, but a lot of times people still don't see the officer there or the person from the school crossing and kids. So just a word of caution to be more careful once school starts.
Thank you very much. Move it, Chief Ross?
I have nothing additional.
Start back in.
They had a problem that Cummins brought their engineers in. It was not coming up with full power. So they said we'll call them tomorrow. The engineers to figure out what's going
I would ask the board to approve the nuisance resolution on Ohio Revised Code 555.27 and declare the following properties public nuisance: 6591 Fairview Road, address 1863 Lancaster Drive, a half shed within the rear yard and 8 feet of repair and raising. When I say half shed, it's what it literally is, and they're using it to stack firewood, but it's falling apart. 4430 Nantucket Drive, high grass over weeds over a river clothesline. That is the demolition the board conducted a couple of weeks ago. Threw it on when I did it up, we missed the clothesline. Contractor didn't take it down. So, 3968 New Road, this land side is jumping debris. That is the house at the corner of New Road and 14. 2206 Penny Lane, jumping debris. High weeds. This property is a frequent flyer in the nuisance program. 2444 Red Gate Lane, tires in front of the garage, 2500 Red Gate Lane, large amount of jumping debris. 2520 Red Gate Lane, high grass and weeds within the rear yard. 431 Southwood Drive, high grass and weeds within the rear yard. This home's been vacant at least 3 years. The property owner died last December. The property owner to the east has been taking care of the front yard for the last few years. We dig into the backyard on that. It's kind of 2057 South Turner Road, high grass and weeds. This is a vacant house. And then in addition, I want to add 3225 Starwood for weeds and construction debris in the driveway.
Motion?
So moved.
Got a second?
Mr. Penn?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Carino?
Yes.
And I'd ask the board to approve the motion to find the following motor vehicles meet all the following criteria: 3 model years or older, apparently inoperable, extensively damaged, but not limited to any of the following: missing wheels, tires, engine, or transmission,
road following vehicles, public nuisances, under Ohio Code 505.871, and for the removal of junk vehicles within 14 days after notice is served to the property owner, 1840 Birch Trace Drive, an inoperable Ford pickup truck with an expired Florida license plate EFCW89, parked exposed now within the driveway. 3968 New Road, an inoperable red Chevrolet pickup truck with expired license plate HMK 6762, parked exposed manual within the driveway. Once again, that's the property that we read it on. And 2500 Red Lane is inoperable, dismantled, unlicensed blue Camaro parked in exposed manual within the driveway.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
And just kind of an FYI, the residents called with complaints, and I've actually got more properties that I could have put on the list for vehicles, and I didn't just because, you know, for whatever reason this year, we're towing a lot of vehicles. Normally, in years past, for every 10 vehicles, the board would declare a nuisance. We might tow one. Seems like we're towing most of them, so I've got to work cooperatively with the police department. And, so those residents who've called and wondering why we're not doing anything, letters have gone out, and we'll just have more of the next meeting to try to manage and smooth it out.
You're not towing any vehicles, we are.
Police may tow me out of Austin.
Right. Todd?
The only thing I have is this Thursday at 7 o'clock, the Jim Frank Combo is going to play a concert in the park that's rescheduled from Tuesday the 10th. We had to cancel because of weather. And, Jim Frank and his crew were adamant about playing at the park, even though they were canceled. They wanted to play at a later date. So that is going to happen this Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Everything else moving smoothly out?
I wouldn't say smoothly, but it's moving. We're trying.
Right. Senior Center, Mr. Henschel.
Just a couple of things. We're very, very busy. And maybe because we're trying to get out to eat, but many are regular customers, so that's pretty good. And we had some requests to look into putting into an American Sign Language class for the seniors. So we're waiting to see if we can do all that.
I don't have anything there.
Yeah, how's the audit go?
They're still wrapping it up, but it all looks to be good.
Motion to approve the July report submitted to the board at the August 9th, 2021 meeting for fund status, revenue status, and appropriation status.
So moved.
And seconded.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Under new business, we got renewal levies coming up in November for our senior center and road department, or road.
Yeah, you know what that renewal levy, that's a misnomer, just go with number one. It's just the annual resolution we have to do, accepting the levy amount for all of our
Right.
levies.
I did, okay. A resolution accepting the amounts and the rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certify them to the county auditor and to the attachment we received.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
On the Ohio Liquor Control Division, whether to request a hearing to approve transfer to permit from Ruby Tuesdays, INC DBA Ruby Tuesdays of 5555 Mahoning Avenue, Austintown Township, Austintown, Ohio 44515, permit number 757698909190, permit class D5I and D6 to Ruby Tuesdays Operation LLC, DBA Ruby Tuesdays 5555 Mahoning Avenue, Austintown Township, Austintown, Ohio 44515, permit number 7576990010, permit class D5I and D6. Chief?
No objections.
It would seem that all it is that they're changing it to an LLC independently, so it's not that they're taking their license out, it's just the owners are different.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
All right, this part of the meeting, we have public response. If someone would like to come up on camera, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address. Got a whole crew?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Barbara Matherly. I live at 6,000 Yorktown Lane. I'm here with all of my long-term neighbors who also live very close to me about a long-standing issue of the property at 6006 Yorktown Lane. It's been 11 years that we've been dealing with this as a neighborhood, and we have tried multiple ways to get the situation resolved, but it is not, and it's getting worse. All of us have all been there very long. I've been down there 42 years myself. I live next door to the abandoned, it's sort of an abandoned property, it's empty now. The short, long story of it is 11 years ago, the elderly woman there developed dementia and was not properly taken care of by her niece and nephew. They let her go down to become like an animal, and the house has continuously degraded to where now it really needs to be condemned. I have called multiple times and had the health department, the zoning, and whatever come out, and the guy, the niece and the nephew just kind of took over the house because she had no children, and they just fell into getting the home. There was never any mortgage on the home, so you couldn't go through the bank. They were about $15,000 behind in property taxes, but the county allowed them to pay it back in a 5-year plan, even though the house was supposed to go into foreclosure. And but he has paid that. We have tried to work with him. He does not live there. He doesn't do Middletown. He will only do like what he gets cited for. So in the last, the house has been empty now for 5 years totally, but it is filled. It is filled with all the furniture. They had 13 cats there, a dog. I had her dog taken away back in 2016 because of neglect. There was a hole in the roof that water came into the house. We live in a nice neighborhood, okay? Very nice, okay? We love it there. I want to sell my house in a year. What am I going to get for the next door or something like that? So all he did then, he got cited for everything, for debris, the whole schmoly, and so he put a new roof on. But there are animals in there now. And I know there's a lot of wildlife and everything's a lot closer than it used to be. But I have a fenced yard, but coyotes come up on my deck and go over into that property next door. And I have videos where I have watched the raccoons climb up the front of the house and go in. All the eaves and everything are all broken out again. But the house is filled with feces of every type, from human to animal. I was personally in there. Originally, my sister lived there, so I know how beautiful the home was. It has deteriorated so badly, and I don't know, and I've talked with the neighbors, like, what do we do? Because we're tired of it. We don't.
Today,
Yes.
Yes. Mahoning County Health Department inspected.
I filed 2 complaints last week, health department, zoning, and the building inspector. I was told by the health department today to come to this meeting and present our case so that you are very aware that we are getting nowhere with this guy. He also has cages where he is trying to catch the raccoons inside the house, but he also has them on his front porch. He does not come and check them. Last week, there was a cat, okay? She saw it, heard it, removed it. A few days ago, I'm looking over there, because I care. That's not for the wildlife either. There's no positive about this situation except to get it resolved. There was an opossum in a cage, okay? Alive still. So I had to have my neighbor come and, take it and leave it go again. The guy comes over, he scalps the grass down enough, and especially this year, there has been so much decay, like even the bottom of the garage, the 6 inches of it is just crumbled. All the soffits are hanging out, there's stuff everywhere. And if I would have been there today for the health department, they would have never seen the majority of the damage that is in the back of the house, because they had to come up on my deck to see it. And the property there, both properties have fences. So that's the only way they really saw the majority of the damage. I have tried numerous times to talk to this guy, to see, come come on, 11 years now, it's been degrading, and it's never getting any better. So, so I've done those things again, trying to get it done the right way, but we're not happy. It's too long. All the years I've lived down there, there's never been a home that's been empty for 5 years and decayed to this extent. And property values are very high now. We all pay our taxes. Well, he did pay the taxes, but big whoopee. He did nothing else. So we're here just to plead our case and.
Can I ask a question? Did the Board of Health ever go into the building?
They can't get in. That's the thing, because I've been in there and we can see in, the ceiling is falling down. You imagine raccoons, there was raccoons when the niece was living there. When they were living there, were still raccoons. So they've probably been there 15 years. And like I say, you hear the babies, cry because the male raccoons, I had to read up on all of this stuff about animals. The male raccoons eat the babies. There's the mother coming up the side of the house, up the side. I didn't even know they could do that, but they are. And like I said, catching the opossum. Why should we have to do that? That's not our job too. And why is he doing that? Yes. And he doesn't come, just once a week or so, whatever, scalps the yard down. I have to fertilize my grass because otherwise I have total weeds. And it's just not fair because our neighborhood is really nice, a beautiful place. I love it there, and we deserve better than that.
Ma'am, I'm the zoning inspector, and I guess we talked.
Oh, yeah.
We were out there this morning.
Okay.
And it's exactly as she says this. He is cutting the grass. It's not a marquee property. As a township, and I've been chasing this for a number of years. He put the roof on in 2016 because he still got the permit in
the window.
In the window.
He doesn't go in the home.
I know we've had the fire inspector look at it. Captain Miller has declared a number of homes as structurally unsound. We can have him look at that again, but just from my eyes, it looks like it's structurally sound. That leaves the building inspector, and once again, I think it's structurally sound, or the Board of Health. And if building, fire, or Board of Health doesn't basically condemn it, the Board of Health would placard it as uninhabitable. If they don't do that, the township is not tearing it down because we
You said
can't.
it was uninhabitable today.
No. They have to placard it as uninhabitable, which means no one can move in there until it's brought to a specific code. Unless they do that, these trustees cannot order it raised. We've done
So how do we do
that.
that? How do we get the health?
You've had them out
department to do
there today, and they need
But we've been
to.
doing this for,
I
years.
understand.
I've talked to you before.
That's-
Last year it was me that was watching the raccoons go up and
Ma'am.
down, and they're in my backyard, ruining things in my backyard because we're infestated with them.
There needs to be a condemnation, and it's either got to come from the fire, building, or Board of Health. I think the best possibility of getting that condemnation is from the Board of Health.
Would you
Granted-
initiate that?
Pardon?
Would you be the person to initiate?
I would have no problem initiating it tomorrow, but you guys already did. They were out there today.
But it's not the first time they've been out, and when they were out last year,
And
what
here's
they
what-
told us was, with the way that it looks and the raccoons that are living in there, it'll be another year, and that was a year ago.
Okay,
So-
well, at this point, you have no other option but to wait to see what decision they make, because even though one of you filed a complaint, they were out there, what they will do is they will make a determination, they will copy us. So they're either gonna cite the property owner for specific violations of the health code, because I think we all want, or they're gonna say that there's nothing that rises up to a level of a health violation, and basically they didn't go in there. I can talk to the prosecutor, see if we can somehow get a search warrant to go in there.
Yeah.
But unless there's a child or an elderly person or an animal in dogs in there being abused, you're not gonna get a search warrant. So it just,
Who has the title?
It's just weird, they floated into it because, you know, the woman, Betty, that lived there, she paid cash for the home, so there never was a mortgage on it.
Actually, I looked it up, it looks like it's still listed under her name with him as the taxpayer.
Betty Kropner.
Yes.
So, but she's passed.
She died 11 years ago,
Yeah,
2010. And they just kind of floated into it, but it was already starting to degrade because the sister, you know, the niece lived there. And I mean, I called them how many times the grass was up to our knees, and we've had, it's just too long standing. I mean, having the animals on the porch like that, that's not right. That's,
Do you have
that's a
videos of the animals going into the house?
Oh, yeah. That's what's
If you
going
look in the window,
Yeah.
what I thought was stuffing from furniture,
Yeah.
and after my wife and I took a better look, it's actually the insulation for the
Yes.
ceiling is down onto the ground.
Yes.
How's the furniture inside? Is
It's
it
decrepit.
chewed?
Oh, it's all chewed up, peed up, pooped up. It's
The garage is packed with
Yeah.
Jay's hot dog.
Grills, yeah.
grills, equipment.
She used to.
Yeah.
You couldn't put a golf ball in
No,
there.
and that's what brought everything. So it's,
Man, when I was out there today, I walked it.
did you can't see the back of the house. You have to
I,
go on
no,
my deck.
I walked down into the backyard, probably the neighbor on the other side.
That's them.
I was in your backyard and looked at it, because I took the picture
Yeah,
of the
that's-
backyard. But my observation of it, when I was 5 feet away from, especially the front, it had a strong smell of urine.
Yes, it
Yeah,
did, of course it did.
absolutely.
I used to ride my bike down the street and you could smell it half a block up, I could smell the urine. And then it's only gotten worse. I mean, it just has.
It's not fair.
Somebody, I don't know if it was the township, but somebody, she had a pool back there
Yeah.
that became nothing but a mosquito bed, and that was removed 2 or 3 years ago.
I know that prior to Mr. Kent taking office, when Mr. Lynn was here, I know we went in there with a nuisance resolution, we took down like trees and
Yes.
shrubs. And the pool, I think, if we took it down, it was more than 2 or 3 years ago, it was probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's-
was
it's-
It's
seven or
been
eight.
the last 5 years because that's when, you know, 2016 was when everything happened, yeah.
Well, I don't think,
What we're
we
saying
understand
is,
your problem. I think if we can get it to, we can bring it to this board, these trustees will pass a resolution to begin demolition. But once again, to begin demolition, it has to be determined to be structurally unsound by the fire inspector or the building inspector, or uninhabitable by the board of health. So-
You're learning our
Limitations.
Our limitations.
I have
But
somebody that will rehab the house. It doesn't even have to be demolition. He's offered, tried to offer him,
You can't put a gun to someone's head and say you have to sell your house, even though the people who own the house probably aren't 100% mentally aware.
no, we're not.
Okay, and that's,
all we could do for you now is, I'm quite sure my colleagues will agree with me, that we'll send a personal letter from us to the Board of Health. They're the only ones that can force to go inside and condemn the place.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, we do have a lot of trouble at times getting them to do those particular things. And we'll send a letter encouraging them to look at and defending what you're talking about here today, and see if we can entice them to get inside.
I think if you could paint a picture like I'm gonna paint for you right now, in this letter that you're gonna write to the Board of Health. Picture this, for a period of years when her niece was living there, when we had a good rain, they opened the front door and swept the water out. How much damage do you think is in that house?
We watched it.
And I worry about it because I live,
Yes.
You're like a
the
waterfall.
wind blows west to me, and I'm right next door, and I don't even wanna sit on my back.
Yes, I don't want to sit on my decks either, because the rust, most of the.
You need a key to get in that place.
No,
You
but-
need a key to get in that place, I guarantee
Lost
you'll
the
cut it down.
Yeah, it's not seasonal. so
And I
grass.
would not touch another trap. Unfortunately, I would either call the police or the dog warden or.
Because I can't let them die like that. That's a horrible death for me.
Yeah, no, I would, you know, you can call with natural resources and they will come out and take the animal. I would not touch it, just because if it does have rabies or if it's, you know, rapid, you don't want to do that. And I understand, but if you call them quickly, they'll respond. Call the police department, they'll respond and they will call the correct people to get rid of that.
I mean, like I say, my friend has offered him a sum for, Randy, the guy that's about the house, he has talked with my friend, and he knows that he flips houses and that he wants to do it, but he won't even let us come in to see it. And I know, like I said, my sister lived there, so And,
Does your friend know about the inside?
oh, yeah.
But there's no mortgage on the house.
No.
But he hasn't seen it yet. He won't let us come in. I've asked, I said, even just let me in, Randy, because, you know, he knows I've lived there forever.
He knows the tricks.
Yes.
Fix the roof, cut the grass, he's good.
There's no
That's
downspout.
There's no downspout.
There's mold coming down the front of the house.
It's still titled to her name, so he may not legally have the right to sell the house.
Well, who does then?
determines
There's
that?
no,
That would be my question, because it's still
He would have
titled.
to petition the,
You'd have to go to probate court.
Probate
Go to probate
court.
court.
So that's part of the reason he probably isn't selling is because he
No.
doesn't have legal right to.
no, he's an idiot. Okay, that's being kind.
No, I'm just saying, as of right now though, he doesn't have, if he does not own that deed to that house, it is still listed as her, I looked it up, it's still listed as her as the owner. He does not have legal right to sell that house.
Well, who does?
You could offer him
he has to
$150,000.
go to probate
He'd have to
court.
go to probate
And
court.
as the only heir to it, and get the property in his name.
So he
Is
is
there a
standing
legal
at it.
issue right now with him
So-
claiming that he owns it? where he
Well,
technically
he's paying
doesn't?
taxes on it, but
He
that would be
paid
my
taxes.
question. Is there
She's
something we can do
deceased.
to maybe force the issue with the courts since he's not the legal owner? And she's deceased.
He's told me half a dozen times over the years that I'm gonna be surprised at the army of workers he's gonna have there. He's got all kinds of equipment bought and stored somewhere, and he's got all these contractors, and we'll see it, we'll probably be done by Christmas. That was like 2 years ago.
And again,
4
last
years before that, he said the same thing. Oh, you're gonna see a lot of us now. I saw him one time the next 2 years.
He doesn't even go in that house.
He's a
Only
liar.
recently because he goes and checks the raccoon traps or whatever else, you know, I'm sure there's rats, mice, you know, whatever.
And I personally won't talk to him.
I'm civilized with them, but I'm losing my civility, okay, because now my German's up, okay, I'm mad.
Well, ma'am, let me just suggest this.
I'm not gonna say
I'm
crazy.
familiar with it, and I sympathize, and when, in the past, the boards have gone, I think, above and beyond, especially when we took down all the brush and the trees. But let's do this. You had the Board of Health out there today. They went out there because you complained. Let's see what they do. Within the next week or so, they will send a letter. We will get a copy of it. If they determine that they're not going to take any further action, then I'll put together a letter of what I see as the problems. But we'll put it on trustee stationery, have the 3 trustees sign that letter, and then we'll send that to the Board of Health. And we'll talk to the health commissioner. Once again, to go into somebody's dwelling, you need a search warrant, and you have to have a reason to have a search warrant. And right now, what we know is there's no children, there's no elderly in there in danger, there's no dogs in there. Unfortunately, cats, I don't think have the same rights.
I think there's a viral disease or 2 in that.
Well, you want to know something?
Yes.
Then that's why the Board of Health.
Yes, there is.
But we'll try to figure something out so that maybe a government agency can go in there, and then from there, based on the conditions that you're describing, and I'm not in any way doubting the conditions, because I can smell it. Then we'll see if we can get the Board of Health to condemn it. I'll send an email tomorrow to Captain Miller, because I don't think he was there last year. I think he was there the year before. Captain Miller is with the fire department. And we'll see if he'll condemn it, if he, or placard it as
Uninhabitable.
structurally unsound. He'll look at the foundation or stuff like that. And so that may be the basic plan of action, but you've already had the Board of Health out there. Let's give them an opportunity to do what they're going to do or not do. And then.
How will we know?
Oh, they're gonna send a letter. Whoever filed the complaint had to identify. You had to identify.
Would you please
We'll be copied on it.
give Laura one of your names and telephone numbers, please? So one of you can contact the others and we'll.
And I have your email.
And we'll also go to our lawyers, the township lawyers, to see what we can do.
Yes.
Because I'll tell you what, the laws in the state of Ohio should have been changed a long time ago
Yes.
when we could defend our own townships.
Right, because we do. I mean, we live right behind you, and it's a beautiful neighborhood, and that house is a disgrace to our
It
neighborhood.
is. I mean, everybody keeps.
It's disgrace.
Yeah, it's enough. We've had enough. You know, you gotta put some pressure on this guy. He's a loser, okay, and
He doesn't care
I'm
about
gonna be
her.
honest,
He
I don't
doesn't
think
care about her
we need to
neighbor.
put pressure on him at all, because he doesn't own it.
Well, how do we find it?
Which could be our loophole.
Well, and that could very well be our loophole, that's why Darren's saying, let us do some, little bit of legwork here, and
Well, that's what the health department says,
Because I-
you know, make you guys
it may
aware of what's going
very
on.
easily be that, you know.
Because my guy will
Nice.
rehabilitate that house, you will not have to demolish it at all. He's licensed professional, he does it for a living, and he'll make the house beautiful.
Mr. Crandall, I think you know George Malinsky.
Oh, yes,
He would have probably been here today, but
yes.
his wife passed away and
He
everything.
did pass away.
Yeah.
Funeral.
Or he'd be standing right here with us.
Yes, he would be.
And
Yeah.
I thought that you know her, because him and I have spoken.
So do we need to like get an attorney or just?
No. Let us work on it.
We'll be in touch with you.
My German's up. remember?
You know, I gotta tell you this, Darren is really good at his job.
I know. he
But
is.
the fact of the matter is, we are restricted.
Right.
But there's things, other things now, like Jim just found out and stuff like that. It's time for us to look at our attorney and see what we can do, because we may be able to do it faster.
I'm a patient.
You're not so sure. I saw the face.
Which one? Oh, really?
I'm
But
sorry.
he has to be negative.
Anything you can throw
Nancy.
to resolve the situation, and maybe one of the situations, depending on how many you can come up with in scenarios, maybe one of the situations finally,
Would you also put the name of the contractor for that?
Yes.
Because it seems to me that if, this guy, maybe somebody has to talk to him
He's
about getting the thing in and selling the house.
He has talked to him a couple times on the phone.
He has?
Yes, and he wants $120,000 for it. Yes, and he thinks it's only gonna take 30 grand to refurbish it, when there's 42-year-old pooped up, peed up carpeting in the kitchen alone that's still there from everybody pooping and
you'd have to
peeing.
replace the
There's gotta be
first.
black
Everything.
mold, all three.
You have to gut the house.
And the flooring has to be substandard. From 11 years of decaying, I mean, I've been in flipper houses with this guy, okay? And yeah.
And we don't believe there's any electricity or heat
No.
or anything going on.
And yeah, fairly, I believe you with the raccoons, because we actually have another vacant home that the bank walked away, a signature place, and there
That's
were
nice
rats.
area.
As I said, the only occupancy in that house was raccoons.
Well, yeah.
And it eventually, because of lien, mortgage lien, it ended up in the hands of the landman. They rehabbed it, and it's occupied now, but, so yeah, the raccoons will climb up and they'll.
Oh, yeah.
They're
I
climbing
have
just outside of the
pictures,
site.
I
Yeah,
have pictures, he has video.
Yeah. You just hearing the babies crying in there, it was really sad, you know, because the male eats the babies, so.
And the raccoons, we're blessed to have a very nice backyard, with some furniture, full of stuff, and they're causing issues in the end.
Yeah, I have
It's
grandmas.
costing us
I
time.
like that too, destroying things too,
Well,
grandmas.
let Darren get a hold of what he has to do.
Well, like I said, let's let the board of health, let's just step back.
Well, now you see all of this.
Yeah.
And,
There would be more,
Yeah.
but some, we had a funeral in the neighborhood.
They have to get inside, is that true what you're saying?
Pardon?
If you drive to that driveway.
He can look through the window and everything else, I believe, can he? They go on.
well, he's kind of trying to pull some of the lines so we can't see it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yes.
I have some pictures.
Hey,
All right. We'll do what we can for you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.
If you guys want to wait, we'll talk after.
I'm gonna talk to you.
we will let you, we will be talking.
Okay,
Thank you
Anybody
very
else?
much.
thank you.
We appreciate your
On
time.
camera or off camera?
It doesn't matter. I'm okay with it.
We're okay with it. Randy knows how we feel.
I tell Randy, I tell Randy that I report him, so, you know, I don't care.
Oh, thank you.
Good job, Bruce, good job.
I have to congratulate the president of the Austintown Junior Women's League. She was just awarded a statewide award, selected as the State of Ohio Jenny June Award winner. That's for her work with the organization and everything else. The Junior League does so much for us, and it's nice that the leadership gets that. What I want to talk about more than anything else today is Fitch High School, the football program that's going on and so on. We went there because we helped purchase the tunnel that was coming, that they came in. You haven't seen that. You have to see how fantastic it is. But the Fitch High School If you haven't been there, you have to go look at it. Now, I taught there for 36 years. I didn't graduate. I'm a member of the Alumni Association, but I'm not an alumnus, but I spent more time in that school than all these guys who graduated and spent time there. But what I saw at that football game, they honored Dr. Ritchie. They were so organized. The superintendent, the new athletic director, Russell Hauser, who was a Fitch-High graduate and so on, did such a beautiful job of organizing that first game, honoring Dr. Ritchie, doing all the things that had to be done, and the game obviously was very nice for us because the Falcons won. But what I want to talk about more than anything else is what happened in the football game, and a person was injured. If you read the paper, our coach, who is a Fitch-High graduate, who was an outstanding football player before, who came on after one of our leading sportsmen and our coach, Phil Anarella. This man I am so impressed with. I was introduced to him by my colleagues when he came in and talked to us. The energy of this man, the attitude that he has, but most of all, sportsmanship. And what he did in the paper proves my point. The quarterback from Cheney, an outstanding individual, got hurt. And the team hurt. They got hurt badly. In the paper, he's quoted by saying, "My thoughts are with the Hewitt family right now and the Cheney Cowboys." That's a huge blow for them. We wanted Cheney's best, and when number 5 is in there, that's their best. I'm wishing him a speedy recovery and an even greater comeback next season. In the terms of our program, a win is a win. A lot we can learn from them. But that's a good Cheney football team. I just wish we had the best there with Jason in the game. We have to have sportsmanship. We're losing it so much. Those of us who grew up playing football and basketball and everything else, one of the things we were taught is sportsmanship. It doesn't exist in a lot of the colleges, and it doesn't exist in a lot of the high schools, let alone in the pros. But our coach was smart enough and brilliant enough to do this. But if you watch him coach, you'll see what T.J. Parker can do. And God bless the superintendent, the board, and everybody else who hired him. That just proves a point that maybe we'll be the leaders of doing sportsmanship for everything here. So, thank you, T.J. Parker. Good luck in the season. And unfortunately, we got a big game this coming up week. What is it? Camp and McKinley. So it's really tough. The last is, once again, there's a Hall of Fame dinner coming up for people that are going to be inducted on September 11th. If you don't mind, I can say that I am a member of the Hall of Fame. I was in the initial thing, not because of my great football, because of my mouth, because I was the announcer there for 35 years. But the fact is that there are some excellent people and excellent teams that will be honored at that particular point. Thank you.
I too would want to touch on Friday night's football game. What a great game it was. It was a great time at Falcon Stadium. A couple people I'd like to note, special thanks to Mike Terlecki, who dedicated the Falcon Strong Memorial, which is at the entranceway where the team comes onto the field. For those of you that didn't get a chance to see it, it is a Falcon head that the team will touch as they go onto the field. And it is to honor all of our fallen Falcons who have passed on too soon. And Mike wanted to do this in the worst way, so he got on Facebook and he reached out, and through donations from the alumni and other individuals, Mike was able to raise the money to build this. And we were there for the dedication of it. And I just want to congratulate Mike. I told him, watching the team run onto the field, you could see the excitement in Mike's face as they touched it. And I said, Mike, you won't know how much this really means until you come back to the school in 20 years and you see the kids still doing it, because it's going to be a new tradition. And so it was really great for Mike, and I just want to congratulate him and everybody he had involved with doing that. We would be remiss, because we got thanked by, it was so nice, TJ showing a lot of class, had his seniors come out and thank us for that tunnel. And we want to make it also clear that that tunnel, while the football team uses it predominantly, it is for the entire Fitch Athletic Department, because on senior nights, all of the seniors get to use that, whether it's the soccer team, the softball team, baseball team, whatever it is, basketball. So the 23-foot Falcon is the old Fightin' Freddy, will be there. But we would be remiss if we truly didn't thank the person who is responsible for that, and that's Walter Leckie. It is because of his donation to the township of the Westchester building. We are the administrators of that fund, but we thank him for that donation, because of him we're able to give back to the youth here in the Austintown community. Also, part of the Friday night festivities, as you enter the stadium now, if you are not blown away by the mural that Aaron Chine has painted on the side of that building, I don't know what it's going to take, folks, because Aaron has done a great job. Aaron is a graduate of Austintown Fitch. His dad was a school board member, and I just want to say hats off to Aaron. He is an exceptional artist. He's a tattoo artist as well. He's done one of my tattoos. And after seeing that, it's kind of giving me the itch to go see Aaron. So just thank you, Aaron Chine, for your time and effort that you put in to that mural. It is absolutely stunning. Events coming up. The Canfield Fair. I always talk about this. If you saw A.C. Jones play here in Austintown, she's actually going to play each night at the Canfield Fair on the side stage. She's coming home from Nashville, Tennessee. She will be back in town. She'll be performing. But please, go to the Canfield Fair. We have an administration building. Lori always gives us the 5-star blue ribbon winning wall with all of our Austintown things happening and pictures and news articles that she saved throughout the year. Stop in the government building and see that. Stop down and see the displays in the educational building from our students here in the Austintown schools. There's much more to do at the Canfield Fair than eat French fries and ride rides, folks. Go out there and enjoy the Canfield Fair. It is going to be the 175th year this year. So please go enjoy the Canfield Fair. Following the Canfield Fair will be the 9/11 Memorial. We will not have a meeting between now and then, so I want to remind everybody that on September 11th at 9 a.m. on Raccoon Road, please come out and be a part of the memorial. Hats off to everybody, including Steve, who spent countless hours out there getting the memorial ready. You guys have done a great job. It looks absolutely beautiful, and it is going to be an honor to be a part of that and honor those that died on September 11th, those that paid that ultimate sacrifice, to honor all of our heroes that rushed into those buildings while others were rushing out, and of course all of those that died on those planes on September 11th. So please come and join us at 9 a.m. on Raccoon Road at the 9/11 Memorial. And finally, because it will be too late for you to see it on the air at our next meeting on September 13th, but on September 14th, I just want to make another announcement that country artist Chris Higbee will be performing at our Austintown Township Park, our Concerts in the Park series. We have them every Tuesday night. Todd and his staff always have the grass so neatly groomed. It's beautiful out there. Come sit in the grass and enjoy a fun night of entertainment every Tuesday night. But more importantly, Chris has done us the favor of agreeing to come out on September the 14th and perform for Austintown Township once again. So we hope to see you all there. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, congratulations to TJ Parker and the rest of the Falcon crew. They put on a heck of a show on Friday night. It's great to see the whole stadium packed. Actually, it was jam-packed in there. Mr. Hewlett, hopefully he does recover. He had 5 scholarships from D1 going into his junior year. Offers. So hats off to him for being a strong individual and getting off, hopefully recovering. Lou Chine was actually helping Aaron Chine. He put a picture out there, And, you know, both individuals are exceptional. Aaron done murals in all of our schools, in all the gyms, and they're just outstanding. So thank you to him. That's all I have as well. Thanks. Motion to recess to executive session for the following: to consider appointment, employment, discipline, or compensation of public employees.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
In association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.